My name is Connor Bailey. I'm from Sulphur Springs, Texas. I went to high school at Sulphur Springs High. I'm here at Oklahoma State University studying aviation. Well, I've always grown up in Sulphur Springs, and I've always really looked forward to high school. Both my parents are teachers at the high school, and so I've always kind of been connected in some way with the high school, whether it be, helping my mom with some event. So it was always like a big thing for me, always looking forward to going to high school there and actually just being up there with my parents and getting up there with my friends. I'm really thankful for my parents. They invested in me so much, and I remember I was sitting, got my first report card back from high school, and I realized I was in the running for, top place, and my parents were like, "You got to go for it." Like they were really there to push me and support me, and I honestly wouldn't be where I am today without my parents. Growing up, I never really thought of being like an aviator. I never thought that like a pilot was actually a career. I mean, I knew there was always someone up in the front of the cockpit, but I never thought that could be me, And so I hopped up in the cockpit of that 172, and the instructor, he taxied me out to the runway, and he's like, "All right, man, it's all yours." And he told me to put that power in, and we started rushing down the runway. And I remember the second those wheels left the ground, I knew that's what I wanted to do. I remember I called my mom, and I was like, I've been praying about this for a long time, and I found it. I found what I'm gonna do. And I remember she was like so excited. It was such a cool moment. So I always knew I was gonna go to college. I've always knew I wanted the big college experience. It's one of the main reasons why I ended up at OSU. It's a big D1 university, come here. I remember first football game here, just tailgating for miles, and everyone, 60,000 people in a stadium, and man, I just love Stillwater. I toured here my junior year. It was the first large college I ever toured, and I told my mom I knew exactly where I was gonna go. I know that one day I'm gonna have to step into the cockpit and have 300 people behind me, and it's gonna be my responsibility. And so I knew that the education and training here at Oklahoma State was gonna be exactly what I was looking for in terms of the flight training. And so I just knew that Stillwater was gonna be my place. My mom was just always telling me, just be yourself, and the rest will come. She's like, you've worked hard, and we've raised you to be a good Christian man, and the Lord's gonna take care of you. And one of the main things is Bright Star is one of the main reasons I'm here. I was in class, and I hadn't gotten called to the principal's office in a long time. So when I got called to the principal's office, I was like, "Oh dear Lord, when I do this time, They're like, "We just need you in the library for something." I think he told me I had to move some tables or something, and I was like, "Oh man, so they're just here to use me for my muscle, I walked in that library, and they were all standing there, and they were all just so excited to see us, and they were smiling. And the second I walked in, I knew what it was for. I started breaking down, and I just couldn't believe it. It was almost like Christmas, it was like my family was giving me the best gift that they'd ever given me. And I don't know, I just felt like when I walked in that room and they had told me what I had received, I didn't really think, my first thought wasn't really man, I just received all this money. It's man, I just received a connection that's gonna last a lifetime. And that's really what Bright Star is. And one of the things that I think that's really different about Bright Star, that's truly a standout, is that yes, it's do you take the time to write a good essay? Yes, do you take the time to make sure that everything's spelled right and the punctuation's correct? But that's not really what Bright Star is about, in my opinion. Bright Star is really about the person. So when I was working to get my first pilot's license, my private pilot's license, I was working 3 jobs. It's hard. It takes quite a bit of funding to get your first license. I just remember thinking how hard it was to balance school, friends, jobs, and trying to learn to fly at the same time. And I know one of the things that I want to do eventually is to be able to set up something where I can help young aviators get that first license and that first step, and some sort of offering, whether it be that I help them pay for their first steps into getting into aviation, or I offer free flight lessons or something like that. I just get to come here every day and be a pilot. I don't have to worry about anything else. There's no stress behind it. It's just, Bright Star has really paved a path for me to just come here and be able to take care of what I need to be able to take care of. But for me, flying is really my happy place. I feel like you get the bird's eye view, and it's just like freedom. It really is. And I told my parents, they were like, "Well, do you think you'll ever get bored of flying? Like, are you ever gonna get bored of just sitting in the same cockpit every day pressing buttons?" And I told my parents, if I'm a pilot, I'm never gonna work a day in my life, because for me, it truly is just my passion. So.